If it's on, we load them up, won't be no turning round. King shit, we lead the way so they respect the crown. Niggas switching up, I never understood that. Before we pick up where we left off, I just fall back. Ain't no loyalty or honor with these little niggas. I know they new off in this shit, so I don't deal with it.
Real niggas stand up, gotta hold it down. Never losing his character when a bitch around. Real nigga to the streets, yeah, they vouch for him. Ain't too many of us left, that's why I ride for him. This here for my niggas, this here for my dog. This here for my niggas, this here for my dog. This here for my niggas, this here for my dog. This here for my niggas, this here for my dog. Seen niggas come and go, it's a cold game. Seem like the realest niggas feel the most pain. And I can sympathize with you cause I've been there. See the pain in your eyes, it's a cold stare. And the troubles of my life keep me stuck in prayer. Praying for all my dogs, please don't fall, you gotta make it there. The promised land is just around the corner, it's up on us. If I could seize the moment, then I own it. If I want it, you dig. That's why I ride for 'em. This here for my dog. This here for my dog. Yeah. Real niggas stand up, gotta hold it down. Never losing his character when a bitch around. Real nigga to the streets, yeah, they vouch for him. Ain't too many of us left, that's why I ride for him. This here for my niggas, this here for my dog. This here for my niggas, this here for my dog. This here for my niggas, this here for my dog. This here for my niggas, this here for my dog.
This one for my niggas in the mix and out the way with me. They secret safe with me, I'm taking them to the grave with me. My dog see me straying off the path, sat down and prayed with me. Then he lost his life, the words he spoke stayed with me. Falling off this road I already started ain't okay with me. Go end up killing one you haters, I don't stay busy. You fall, get back up, pick your slack up, who can you blame really? Hey, you a backup for your backup cause this game's skippy. Baby know the rules, she gotta choose, there ain't no shame in me. Can't trade my time for tennis shoes, there ain't no lame in me. Smoking on these California strains to ease the pain in me. Trying to feed my family and pull some gritters out the rain with me.
Real niggas stand up, gotta hold it down. Never losing his character when a bitch around. Real nigga to the streets, yeah, they vouch for him. Ain't too many of us left, that's why I ride for him. This here for my niggas, this here for my...
Sorry about that, beauties. As you know, I'm always having some technical difficulties. Thanks for telling me you can't hear me. Can y'all hear me now? Send some hearts up, like the stream. Also, while we're involved into the stream, please be sure to share. Also, if you've missed, as you can see, O City, well, that way, O City to Yo City, if you've missed any episodes, you can definitely find those additional episodes on our YouTube page at the Me and My Radio Show. Always subscribe. We're trying to get our followers and our subscribers up, so that will be definitely a help. As you can see in the description, a sister got to keep the lights on. All of this doesn't work for free, so if you feel the need, definitely hit the link for my tip and give me my tip. I would appreciate that. If not, God is good to me. Back to some of those businesses. We also have the Sunshine Shop, Squad House Radio, as well as Cosign music video show. Be sure to check it out. It's coming from Immaculate Brothers. Shout out to the Mac Brothers down there in the L Time. Some of my good friends. Make sure you go check out their podcast, Opinion Not Fiction, every Thursday and Sunday. I'm not sure. I might be telling you Cosign's Day on Thursday. I'm not sure. But go check out Opinion Not Fiction. I was on there 2 weeks ago. It's a definitely hype podcast. They talk about any and everything, social issues, while keeping you entertained. So I think you beauties will definitely enjoy that. I don't want to hold you up. Tonight's definitely a show that I've been looking forward to. I hope you guys are tuned in and looking forward to it. So we're going to just jump right into it and get into it. Introducing our host tonight, our guest tonight, Chametra Thomas. For my beauties who are not familiar with the story, can you just kind of familiarize them, because this is an ongoing investigation, beauties. I must tell you that And so that way that my beauties can be up to date on what's going on. Can you kind of fill them in on what happened?
Yeah. Um, Basically, about we had got home. We had been out most of the day. We got home probably about 11:40, something like that. And everyone was pretty much getting ready to turn in for bed. So there was me and Raya, my 14-year-old son Paris, my daughter Tangi, and her 3-month-old baby, all at the house. Um, and I was basically um, getting ready for work the next morning. So I'd taken a shower, and my daughter asked if Raya could come and sleep in the bed with me because, of course, she had her 3-month-old baby. And so I was like, yeah, well, normally she either sleeps with my daughter or she is sleeping in the bed with my son. Or if her parents are home, she's, with them. But they weren't home. Neither one of them were home that night. So we were we both got in bed, and she was playing on her tablet, and I was actually on the phone talking to my sister because she had just called me like minutes before. I texted my son when I got home, trying to figure out where he was at, and he told me he'd be home shortly. Okay. I think me and my sister was talking for maybe about 10 minutes, I think. And the next thing I know, I just started seeing things flying across my room. Um, I had no idea, literally, what was going on. I remember I just kept asking, what's going on? What's happening? Like, because I literally didn't know. I had a space heater in front of my bed, so I was thinking that, it possibly caught on fire, so it was shooting stuff across the room. I didn't realize until later on that it was actually bullets coming through my window. So someone literally walked into my backyard and started shooting into my bedroom window with me and my granddaughter in the bed.
That is that's horrible. As an outcome, your 2-year-old granddaughter eventually passed away due to her wounds. Correct?
Right. She was shot once. One of the bullets hit her in basically like the middle part of the back of her head, and she died an hour later at the hospital. I was hit a total of 4 times, one at the nape of my neck, one kind of like in the middle in the back of my head. It clipped my right ear. Everything happened on my right side, and basically, and it hit one hit my index finger on my right hand. So I had to have surgery on that, which I have to have another surgery on it. But basically, my finger will never move again. Like I cannot use it at all.
You were so previously in the beginning of the story, you were telling us who all was at the house. I'm glad that you cleared that up for us because, you know, especially being that I'm in this business, it is imperative that I get my facts straight. That the things that I say, I know what I'm talking about. There was a lot of misinformation from the news media. They weren't delivering the correct information because per the news, you had you were babysitting a house full of grandkids, and it was a big house full of kids. It was a big house full of the grandkids. So it was, so a lot of people are confused. So I'm definitely glad that you cleared that up for us. That it was not a house full of children. Um,
Right.
that your daughter that there were also other adults present as well because they made the news media made it seem like that it was simply just you
Just me.
in the
Right.
home. um I told the beauties that we were going to talk about. I know because beauties, I must tell you that this is an ongoing investigation. So if you have questions, feel free to ask questions, but there's not much as pertaining to things that are relevant to the case that we can tell you. But when it comes to the police investigation, you are not happy with the way things are going. Is this correct?
Right. Um, oh, go ahead. I'm
No, I was
sorry.
just going to say, can you tell the beauties a little bit about why?
Okay. Um, the night that everything happened, I had a detective come and speak to me while I was in the hospital. Um, and this was right after they had given me some medicine because they had to stitch up my ear and stitch up the nape of my neck. Um, I actually didn't find out about the other bullet that hit my head until like a week later, like the night before we were getting ready for Raya's funeral the next day.
And for those beauties or who that are just joining in, can you go over again the places that you were shot?
hmm Um, the nape of my neck, or the nape of my head. There was one that was in the basically like the middle back of my head and clipped my right ear. Basically, all the shots were on the right side because I was in a turning position when everything started because I was turning over on my side. And then my finger, I mean, basically was hanging because it had a big hole in the middle of it. Like the back of my finger was still connected, but the top part of my finger, there literally was a hole in the middle of my finger.
And this is the finger you'll never be able to use again.
Correct.
And you still have to have another surgery due to this event.
Yeah. Um, and it's not necessarily I have to. Basically, I have the option to leave it like it is. It's basically disfigured at the moment, and it just kind of stands out. So
So
while
you
all of my
remained a
other
little bit in this situation.
yeah, so while all of my other fingers are pretty much movable, this one doesn't. It basically sticks out like I'm pointing my finger at you. So I have an option for them to either do a full or partial amputation or for them to do a fusion where they will basically bend it in like a 35 to 45 degree angle.
Want to give a big thank you to all the people that are sharing. As you can see, we appreciate it. So you are popping up on the screen. Thank you to all the sharers. Thank you to all the people that are currently tuned in. This is an important issue that we're discussing. So please remember to share the stream. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask comments. As you were saying, so the police situation. Now, this happened December 19th. This is August 2020. So we're going into almost a year after the incident happened. I want to start out with after the situation with you and your granddaughter, you all were shot. You called 911. You realized,
My sister did.
your
My
sister.
sister and my daughter.
Once again, bad news information. Your sister called 911. I want you to tell a little bit about the 911 response as far as the officers and the EMTs went. How you felt about that, and if you felt like that they handled the situation accordingly.
Okay. As far as the response of the officers, they were literally like they made it there within 3 minutes. They were literally 3 minutes away. One of the detectives that showed up was actually one that I know pretty well that I've met before due to other things that have happened in the neighborhood. So when he made it there, he immediately came in and took over doing chest compressions on Raya. And the first thing that came out of his mouth was, "We need to hurry up and get her to the hospital." So he was telling his partner to hurry up and get the ambulance there so that they could get her out of there. But in the same breath, he was just kind of like, um, he kept saying, I'm trying to debate on whether I need to take her myself or wait for the ambulance. And right when he decided that he was going to take her, the ambulance ended up showing up. And they worked on her. They took me out of the room while they worked on her. And then a few minutes later, they were taking her out of the ambulance, because she did, when I was doing chest compressions, she did stop breathing on me. So they got her, I guess they got her stable enough to move her to the hospital.
Yeah.
And they took me to OU, and of course took her to Children's. And I don't know how long I had been in the hospital room before the detective came to talk to me. I know they had to do x-rays and MRIs to see where all I was shot at and if there were any bullet fragments. And they didn't do any surgery on my finger that night. They actually gave me a whole bunch of pain meds and wrapped my finger up for me to come back the next day. Because I was going to have to go see a plastic surgeon, basically. But before they let me go, basically right after all of that was done, is when the detective came in and started asking me a bunch of questions. And he kept asking the same questions over and over again, just in a different way.
What was some of the questions, like immediately after you're assaulted by gunfire? What do the police ask you?
He asked me if I knew who had did this, if I knew why someone wanted to do this, asked me if I had any enemies. We had just a month prior to that, or not even a month, a few weeks, because we spent Thanksgiving in California with my son-in-law. So he was asking questions about my son-in-law and asking if he was upset with my daughter, and if there was any way that he could have been upset and done this, and just stuff like that.
And to be fair, when it comes to things like that, when it comes to like fatal attractions and things like that is fair. I'm not going to say the police is out of line or they're. I watch a lot of Dateline and I watch a lot of 2020. You'll be amazed what the Caucasian community kill each other behind. And a lot of times is they don't want the woman or the man to find out they've been cheating in life insurance.
Right.
So I'm not going to act like those are abnormal questions.
Right. No, and I wasn't, and that wasn't an issue. But I mean,
I don't understand why immediately. I do, because they want you to have like a fresh memory or whatnot.
Right.
But immediately they would just assault you with all these questions. You've been shot in your head. You've been shot in your hand. And I do have a question to that. When it comes to your injuries, as we all know, when we're in a high stressful situation or a traumatic situation, our adrenaline is pumping and endorphins are kicking in. So we have, for lack of a better term, a strength that we wouldn't otherwise have, in normal conditions. So afterwards, once, things calmed down a little bit, did you start feeling the effects of the bullets?
Well, I didn't know about like my ear and the nape of my neck. I knew something had hit me in the back of the head, because in the middle of it, I actually sat up in my bed and tried to get up. And when I got up, one bullet hit me in the back of the head and knocked me onto the floor. And so I just stayed down there until it got completely quiet. And with all of this going on, and I know it sounds crazy, but I literally never heard anything. And it may be because it was that close to me and I couldn't hear it, or because one of them hit my ear, so which, kind of knocked some of the hearing out, but I never realized what was going on around me. I had no clue. Once everything was done, my sister, I finally heard my sister, calling my name and asking me if I was okay. And she asked me if somebody had just shot up my house. And, I just instinctively said yes, still not knowing that that's literally what happened. And she kept asking me if I was okay. And I was like, my head is hurting. And I was holding the back of my head. And I just kept saying, my head is hurting. And I got up off of the ground so that I could get up, so I could go and check on everyone. And as I was getting up, I looked down at my hand and realized and seen this big old hole in my finger. And I kind of flipped out a little bit and started screaming. But then I remembered I've got other people in this house that I need to see about. So I got myself together before I started moving around.
So at a certain point, you had a little bit of some shock going on, like
Yeah.
WTF, for the
Yes.
sensitive beauties. But in my words, what the fuck? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
For our sensitive beauties, WTF. The beauties know me. I am who I am. So you all, you go through the situation with talking to the police at the hospital. Unfortunately, you all lost your granddaughter. I know
Right.
it was a traumatic event for her parents. One of the reasons why I'm so familiar with the case is because her mom was out of town when the situation happened, and through social media, she was able to get back home to to help you all with the situation or whatnot. And our prayers are still for you all because for the beauties that do not know, this case is still unsolved.
Right.
And we are talking about not just the fact that you were shot, but we are talking about the murder of a 2-year-old child.
Right.
Beauties.
Right.
I mean, I understand all of y'all and y'all know snitching situation, but we are talking about the murder of a 2-year-old child. So you all get through the hospital. There for you, considering you were shot 4 times, I know there was a healing process. So in between the time of the incident happening and you healing, how the police came in, it sounds like they took the report trying to figure out what was going on. So in between taking the report and the next time you spoke with law enforcement, how much time had passed?
I myself didn't speak to anyone from the police office until a month later. That's when someone contacted me. I know they had been in contact with my daughter, and I don't know when it started. I don't know if it was immediately, after everything or a couple of days or whatever, but I know that my daughter was going back and forth with one of the detectives on the case. And like I said, no one actually reached out to me until a month later. When they finally contacted me, they wanted me to come down to the police department because they wanted to talk to me and ask me some more questions. So when I finally got down there, they also wanted me to bring my son and his girlfriend down there because they wanted to talk to them and ask them some questions as well.
So was it, because I know a lot of the beauties may be asking, your son and his girlfriend, we must remember that your son, was he not home the night the incident happened? So
he wasn't.
It's normal that they would want to speak to your daughter because she was there. They would want to speak to, anybody who could give them some information as to what happened that night. Not necessarily why, but what happened that night. They're detailing the story.
Right.
Was there, if you can tell us, was there a reason they wanted to speak with your son?
As far as I know, they were trying to figure out if this was something that had to do with him, something revolving around him. I mean, basically, I guess you could say pretty much asking the same questions that they were asking as far as my son-in-law went. So trying to figure out if it was, if this had anything to do with anything that he might have had going on.
Oh, okay. So just trying to see if it's an internal situation, if anyone in your family might have had some conflicts that this could been a result of.
Hmm.
Um, so as you were from the start, no, everything was no. We have no idea why this happened to us. Um, in between that time and when they did come talk to you a month later, did they say they had any, not necessarily just suspects, but any kind of leads? Because like I said, I watch a lot of Dateline and a lot of 2020, so I know, no, they cannot
Right.
tell you about suspects, but they can tell
Right.
you about leads. Like, well, we heard maybe the suspects are on this side of town, or the suspects may be gang members or drug users, or etc. So did they tell you about any type of leads towards this?
They told me that they had people calling in the tip line, literally the same night that everything happened, and was giving information, but still, just like as of right now, they have nothing concrete. They don't have any evidence, and they have nothing. I mean, they don't have anything that links anyone to it.
Okay. Speaking of tip lines, so this tip lines, as we all know, are the community's way of reporting crime. Sometimes they use tip lines in the wrong way. Telling on people that ain't got no business. I'm not saying you shouldn't use the tip line. I'm just saying people who don't have no business, using the tip line, use the tip line for nefarious reasons. But in situations where we have 2-year-old children who have died for absolutely no reason, they're saying calls are coming in the night the incident happens to you. Are they saying that any of these tips are leading anywhere?
They never confirmed nor denied that any of the tips were leading anywhere, as they kept telling me, um, with the case being active, they couldn't confirm any of that. What they did let me know was that people were calling in, people are still calling in, but nobody was willing to get on record and say that they know for sure this is what happened, these are the people that did it, and why it happened.
Which leads us to a question from one of our beauties. What is the community doing to speak up? It is impossible for no one to know anything in our hoods. I do
Exactly.
agree.
I agree also.
I think that in our community, the way things hit social media, like I've seen people like literally get shot, and 15 minutes later people are resting in peace in them. They knew, they just seen what happened, the whole situation. So community wise, not necessarily, because I understand how people, first and foremost, our relationship culturally in within our community is not a very good relationship with law enforcement. I know
Mhm.
that, and thank God the officers that arrived that night, you were familiar with it, not just the familiarity, that they were just good guys.
Right,
Sometimes it's very rare within our communities because a lot of stereotyping and bias happens, that we are able to see police officers in their light. So shout out to the OKCPD for that. I'm not saying them, but for that.
right.
Um, but I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But in the meantime, but I'm saying in the meantime, we learn a lot of things within our community, within ourselves. So I'm not asking you to say who or what not, but have people in the community said something to you regarding what happened to you?
I've heard a number of stories, and I don't know what's true and what isn't true. So, there's just been a lot going around as far as, the reasons why.
Lot of reasons, but no names about who it is. So one of our beauties, Stephen James, he says, "There it is. Stop being cowards. Speak the truth and honor this baby. F that snitching mess." I
Right.
totally agree.
I
Um,
agree.
being that he brought this, the whole snitching situation, I might have brought it up. Who knows? Being that it's up in the air, being a survivor of gun violence, losing your granddaughter and going through this tragedy due to gun violence, in the way the community, not just the law enforcement, because we understand their job.
Right.
Sometimes I don't understand the people we live around. Sometimes they promote some of like the craziest things to me. I understand the things that happen in the hood and I understand with the nefarious people, but when innocent people get hurt, I don't understand why people don't handle it. I mean, even to the point of the vigilante justice. Nobody does anything besides get on social media and talk about it. But in the midst of this, when they need to talk about something, nobody has anything to say. How do you feel? Oh, hold on. Oh, we're back. Sorry. How do you feel being, like I said, being a survivor of gun violence? How do you feel when it comes to people and their no snitching code or whatnot?
I think it's whack. Um, you know, it's bad enough that, people do it when, it's an adult that gets shot. But for people to be silent when it's a baby, you know, this is something totally different. She didn't even get to, she didn't get to do a lot of anything. She didn't get to fulfill her life. She's not going to be able to fulfill her life, and we have to, we basically have to go on without her, you know, is it's dumb. I think it's really dumb that, people are talking but not talking in the way that they should be.
I totally agree with you. And every time I think about it, I get sad, but I get angry more than anything. I'm not emotion wise. I'm not one to cry a lot. I'm a get angry, do something kind of person. But what do you do when it comes to situations with 2-year-olds losing their lives? How do you convince a community that is wrapped up in dysfunction that they think is normalcy? What do you do? And that's one of the reasons why I had you on tonight. I'm glad that you came to share your story so that people can see. We hear all the rap songs, with the chitty chitty bang bang, but also so people can see the other side of that, because I'm looking at you, Chametra. I just met you recently. Like I said, I followed the story. Within knowing you for this short time, I think you're a very awesome person. I think
Thank you.
that you're a really nice lady, and there's nothing that can come to mind that I would think that you, and definitely not that your grandbaby, deserve that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And for people to, if someone truly knows what happened, to not say anything, I think that that's very cowardice, because the
Yeah.
the, the shooter, for me, I understand the people that want to save him, but see, when you talk about gangster shit, killing kids is not gangster to me. It doesn't make you
Exactly.
tough, or it
Exactly.
doesn't make you a rider, or whatever the definition of being a me man is today. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
makes you a coward that you running around here killing kids and you scared to go to prison for it. You know what I'm saying? You scared to announce yourself, because not just on the prison aspect, but just she got a daddy out here. She has uncles, she has a mother, she has aunt, she has a lot of people that cared about her, that cared about her life. And just the fact that you can't even look them people in their face, you was man enough to do it, but
Right.
you running around here now, you scared to, that's just me. Like I said, I understand things in our social culture these days. I come from a different era, so killing kids wasn't, it didn't make you tough, it didn't make you a
Nope.
gangster.
It
It
was
made you dealt
killing
with it.
kids, and between, what was it, killing kids and or killing and hurting kids and women and old people was not the thing to do.
No, you know, and being that I spoke on, the father and mother and grandmothers, um, can you tell me a little bit how this, you don't have to go into detail, but just tell me a little bit how this has affected your family emotionally, mentally, some of the impact that this, just, you know, for nothing gun violence has had on your family.
I mean, just, we're all still basically trying to get through this. Emotionally, everybody is still a wreck. Mentally, everybody is still a wreck. Um, you know, like you said before, you know, as far as, you know, being emotional and a crier and things like that, that is not, that's not something that I am. I'm not, you know, I don't tend to get very emotional, and I don't tend to do a whole lot of crying. But dealing with this situation, losing my grandbaby, that was something totally different for me. That took me to a totally different place. And I think I've shed more tears during this situation than I have my entire life. Because of how deep that was. Like that, you know, I lost a part of me when we lost her. We all lost a part of ourselves when we lost her.
One of our beauty says, we as a people will never come up if we fear caring for our own. Not caring about what happens in our hood should never become normal. The shooter is not only the coward, but the quiet voices are also cowards, young or old. And I
Yeah.
do agree with the beauty. We're gonna
And,
take
oh, go
um,
ahead. Go ahead.
we're going to take a small break, beauties. You can enjoy. If you missed last week's new episode of OCDDO City, it's going to be playing. You can also catch it on our YouTube channel, The Me and My Radio Show. We're going to take a small break, get ourselves together. Beauties, you get you something to drink, blow your favorite incense. You know what to do. We will be right back to you.
Tonight we got a jam-packed show for you, beauty. I promise the lineup is going to be bumping and jumping. If you've missed any episodes, you can always catch up on OCDDO City on our YouTube page, The Me and My Show. Now remember to follow, subscribe, and comment. And also be on the lookout for the local entrepreneurs and vendors featured in tonight's show. It's always a good look to support our own beauty. Special shout out to Queen Meek Eyelashes, the official sponsor of The Me and My Show. Life is short. Your lashes shouldn't be. Also be on the lookout for Immaculate Network's brand new show, Cosign. Bring you some of the best hip-hop videos Oklahoma has to offer.
We are back. Thank you for staying tuned with us, beauties. Tonight's show is a very emotional one, so therefore, you know, I think the break is well deserved. One thing about, you know, our community here lately, especially in today's time, is that people really don't understand until it happens to them. You know what I'm saying? You can hear something, you can see something, but until it personally affects you, it seems like people, and I'm not just talking about black people, I'm talking about just people in general, they don't care until it personally happens to them. Lord, I pray that that never has to happen to anyone, and I pray for all those that it has. We're back, beauties, with Chametra Thomas. Tonight we have been sitting down talking about gun violence, her case, and how she feels that the police has been handling it. We touched a little bit about what happened when the police first even contacted you afterwards. And so now we're roughly 9-10 months later. We're almost a year later. What's going on now? What do you guys know? What's going on with the case?
Okay. Let's see. The next time that I heard from the detective was, it would have after January. The next time was in February. They reached out and asked me to do another interview, because the first one that I did was where all of the miscommunication came from, where they said I had, several grandkids and things like that. So I went ahead and did another interview, but I decided I did not want to do the interview with the same person that I did it with before. And I told them who I would be willing to work with on that.
And can you tell the beauties which news media outlets that you did these interviews with?
I did Channel 5 and Channel 4.
And I can personally vouch that Channel 4 gave out misinformation. I read it. And, I read the whole, she was with all of the grandbabies and yada,
okay.
yada. So,
yeah.
I mean, unless they give a retraction, I'm speaking facts. So, I'm not worried about them coming for me. I read it. It's a whole article where they state that misinformation among some other things. But as you were saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember actually which one it was. Now I know the second one that I did, they actually got everything right. She actually sent, let me listen to it before she sent it out. So, just to kind of preview what, what she would be talking about before it ever hit the air. And then I didn't hear anything else after that. I would reach out, to ask, if there were any new updates, and I would get the same thing of, yes, there are updates, but with the case being an active case, we can't give you those updates, but we're working with different people, and we've got updates, but that's about it. I think the next time I heard from anyone, was, let's see, February. In between those times, I was reaching out to them. So the next time I actually heard from anyone that someone actually reached out to me was Mother's Day, actually. I got a phone call saying that a special victims unit had been set up to work my case, and that the police chief had wanted this to be set up because of the outrage that they were getting behind this case not being solved. And the same question still arise, as far as my son went, if I had talked to him, if I had heard anything new, just those same kind of questions.
Why do you think that they keep continuously asking you about your son?
Well, I'll just say that, he's not any stranger to, the gang task force.
Honey, listen, that does not constitute you as a bad person. Me and my beauties, the people we know, from rich to ratchet, we love them. You know what I mean? So, no, just because, this is our community. We all grew up. I got kids, honey, and all of them ain't angels. So, like, as far as just because your baby do shit does not make them, it doesn't make them involved or giving reasons for someone to come shoot your house up. You do not automatically come to the assumption because my son may be a gang member, whether he's active or not, that because he is doing these things is why this happened to me. No, really investigate my case. Tell me who you've seen, and even if that's the fact that you think it's my boy, give me some reason. Don't keep coming asking me questions trying to build a case against him, because that's what it sounds like to me. Why you keep asking about her son? Do your job and don't want her to do it for you.
Well, and they did talk to my son once before, and my son basically told him the same thing. That's your job. You need to solve this case. I'm not going to do your job for you. So, yeah, they told me that they set up the gang task force, and not the gang task force. I'm sorry, but the special unit for my case, and that, let me know that if I heard anything to give them a call and give them any information I know. Well, I'm not out there like that, so therefore I'm not going to have any information. I, would send messages, asking if there were any updates, and I would still get the same reply. Yes, there are updates, but they can't give me the updates because it's an active case.
Not even something as simple as, well, we maybe because of something that happened on the northeast side. Nothing, just absolutely no type of information.
Nope. I asked about, information that was given about possible suspects, if these were still people that they were looking at. And I was told that they were still looking into these people, but they couldn't be named as suspects. And that was that. And again, I reached out again as far as any updates, and it was still the same story, still the same line. And then I didn't hear anything from anyone. By this time, I didn't even know who was working my case, because the last time that I reached out to someone, the person that originally called me on Mother's Day told me that he and his partner were no longer working on the case, and that someone else was working on the case, and that he would have to get with those people to get some answers and would get back to me. But I
So
never heard.
basically, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have to let the beauties know. Basically, when a case is transferred from one set of detectives to another set of detectives, it's like starting all over
All
again.
over. So I hadn't heard anything else, actually, until a week or so ago. Um, no, I think it's been about 2 weeks. On the 4th of this month, I got a call from the detective that had been working my case in the beginning. And he called and was telling me that the pastors of the East Side was doing a town hall meeting, and they wanted to talk about my case and, figure out what they can do to try to help, move it along so that they can try to get it solved. And so they asked if I would come down, because they wanted me to be a part of the town hall meeting. And so the detective was supposed to get the time. He already had the date, but he was supposed to get the time and call me back with it. And he did a couple of days later. Bless you. So before we got off the phone, I asked him if there were any updates. And of course, I got the same line. Yes, there are updates. We've been talking to people. But of course, with this being an active case, I can't give you those updates. And so I asked about the same thing that I asked about before, as far as the suspects go, the ones that they were looking at, if they were still looking at these people. I was told that they are still looking into them, but that was all the information I could get from that.
So were you able to speak at the town hall meeting this past Tuesday?
No.
What was the reason why I mean, they invited you, no doubt. I mean, cause I was on my way to the town hall meeting, and I was looking and I didn't see you. And I was like, what's going on? I seen the chief of police, and I seen Pastor or Dr. Reed, cause this was held at Fairview Baptist Church. I watched a lot of Playcation. I mean, did you get to tune into the Facebook Live? Because it's on the, I don't know if they've took it down, but it's on the Fairview Baptist Church site. They went live on the town hall with the police chief, was sitting there trying to talk about race relations and social relations within our communities with the police, etc., etc. It was a lot of information that, maybe at a Car Chronicles Beauties we can go over tonight. We're not going to waste our breath. But once again, Fairview Baptist Church is where it was held, so why, and again, you were invited, so why didn't you speak?
I'm just going to assume that the police chief didn't let them know that I was invited. Before I even made it there, my family made it before I did. And they called to tell me that you had to have a ticket to get in. They were going to take your temperature and you had to have a ticket to get in. I had no idea about this. I knew nothing about this. So we get there, they're asking me about a ticket, and I'm telling them I don't have a ticket. I didn't know anything about it. And they asked me who invited me. And I gave the name of the detective that called me and invited me. Well, they said that there was a detective there, but it wasn't the name that I had given. So they said without a ticket that I couldn't get in. So we said, okay, and we were leaving. Well, then they said that they would try to see if they could get us in. Now, mind you, it's me and my family and a few of my friends. Well, they came back out and they still said that, we couldn't get in. And I understood that due to COVID, they could only, you could only be or have so many people around. So I get that. I understood all of that. That wasn't an issue. But we went back and forth with them on whether we could get in or not. 1 minute it was we could get in, the next minute it was we couldn't. 1 minute it was they were going to let people that were in the lobby come in, but everybody else on the outside couldn't. They'd have to watch it Facebook Live. And it would maybe have been like maybe 10, 15 outside and probably about that many of us on the inside. Well, they said they could only have 40 people in there. But when the camera showed the span of the church, it looked like there may have been maybe 4 to 6 people that was in there.
I know, because it was the young lady and man, I don't remember their name at this time. As you can see, incense blow all around me. So I don't remember their names. But again, Fairview Baptist Church had it on live. I don't know if they took it down, but they panned out and zoomed around and it didn't even seem like it occupied 40. So I totally agree with you on that. Speaking of COVID, this is a pandemic that we're in. We've been in crisis, but since everyone's focused on the pandemic, we can talk about it as well. Do you think, because this happened, again, this happened in December of 2019, last year. So do you think that COVID has had an impact on the way that the police are investigating your case? Or is it pretty much just, this is how it's been, the lack of information, the lack of contact, etc.?
I think it might be, I think it might be a combination of both. And being honest, I didn't even think about that when, when I talk about how upset I am that nothing is happening, because not that I forgot that we're in a pandemic, but that thought just never really even crossed my mind. So, I think it might be a combination of both, not just one or the other.
Yeah, I know it's been, because a lot of things, I'm not slacking up, because it's a lot of people's cases that are still unsolved.
Right.
Nobody knows what happens. They steady putting people in jail for crazy stuff, because the jail is overrun full of prisoners, but not with none of the people that kill kids. You understand what I'm saying? It's full of just people who smoke weed and every now and then have blunts and stuff and want to sell a little weed before they decided they wanted to make some money on it. You know what I mean? That's what because the jails are full of drug users and dealers, and some of the dealers shouldn't even be in there, considering that the government and states are now making currency off the same crimes that these people are doing time for. But so I don't think that COVID really is stemming anything, considering that, prior to, because COVID just started in March. We not gonna act like, we've been stressed out since Christmas. It just happened in March. And it has threw the world in a big loop. But crime hasn't stopped. We knew that. What now? With your situation in the police department, you've heard a lot of people talk about defunding the police, budgeting with the police. They've had, you seem like you stay in touch, as I stay in touch with, city council meetings and board meetings and town halls and things that's going on with all of the different legislation that they have proposed. Not saying that it passed, but all the different legislation that they have proposed. How do you feel about the people's call for defunding the police, and what do you think can happen with the police that can help your case a bit more, just exclusively when it comes to law enforcement?
Now, I don't know, because if we defund the police, does that actually help them with solving cases that need to be solved? Not just mine, but period.
Yeah.
And those are things that we have to think about when we're talking about that. If we defund the police, is this helping anything? Does that take away from them being able to solve cases, or take away officers so that these cases can get solved? So I don't necessarily, I can't necessarily say how I feel on that because I'm not totally sure. Um, as far as that goes, I don't know. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry. Happens all the time. And as you can see, what's in my cup, beauties? Can you guess? Um, happens all the time. But I'm really glad that we got to sit down this evening. We're gonna get ready to wrap it up. One of the
Okay.
things we talked about is community involvement. So before we head out of here, please tell my beauties and all those people, because see, I have a thing about talking about things and not necessarily doing things. Even with myself, I'm my own worst critic, because if I find myself ranting and raving about something but I'm just sitting on my couch at home not doing anything, I get on myself about that. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I have a big problem with people that who say they care about certain things, certain social situations, certain things that's involved in our communities, helping our communities and things like that, and they're not doing anything to help. So, can you speak to my beauties and those that are out there, especially those who say that they care, what we can do as a community to help you get this case solved and you and your family get some closure?
Um, Basically, I'm just asking for people that if you hear something or heard something or know somebody that knows something, to please, if you don't feel comfortable contacting the police, at least find some way to get in touch with me or one of my family members to get that information to us so that we can get it to the police. You know, we're desperately trying to get this case solved. Um, Ryan needs justice. Not I'm not even including myself in it because although yeah, I mean yes I was hurt. Along with her dying. This is for her. This is mainly for her. I want to make sure that we get justice for her because she was innocent. We were both innocent, but she was definitely innocent. This was a 2-year-old baby. She didn't know what was going on. She had no clue of what was going on. No idea at all.
I wanna one of our beauties asked, what is the Me and My show doing to lead a community movement to get answers? I'm simply Sheba, simply that. I'm just me. I could tell you things that I do in order what I'm able to do in order to help our community. For one, we've started a curriculum for early childhood development because I don't want our young boys and girls out here shooting people feeling like dope is synonymous to hustling, that dope dealing and being in the streets, you know what I'm saying, is a reason to try to get money. Hurting people is a way to come up and work. So I start early with the little bitty babies. We've also, it's Lily and Tim Ben Farms. You can find it on 22nd and Lottie, 21st through 22nd and Lottie. We started a community garden where we are trying to help because there's a food desert going on the east side of this community. Um, prior to the food desert, I especially was talking about the gentrification of our community. I'm always speaking knowledge. I'm always helping. Um, when it comes to the police, when it comes to legislation, I stay involved in legislation. I stay in writing bills. I stay in trying to gather my community to help with bills, not presidents, not senators, getting people like David Prater out of office so that way people who have slightly weed cases and shit like that and people who are protesting won't be considered terrorists, and he will really put his detectives and his other DAs and things like that to good use versus just putting people in jail because like I said, once again, they're up here because it's knowledge. Because with me, I'm not tough. It starts with the mind. So I try to change the minds because what I'm definitely aware of is culturally there. I don't care about the white people and the men. I am aware of there's a sickness within us. So for one, to help this woman that's sitting here today on my platform. I'm bringing awareness to people who maybe did not know that this is what she was going through. For people who was sitting on their couch, because like I said, unless it happens to you, you don't know who was sitting on their couch and saying, "Oh my God!" Today, when they seen her face, they feel her pain. I just became acquainted with this woman, and I won't stop speaking about her case. And now that I am aware of it, once again, I'm bringing awareness. The things that the me and mine, hence the me and mine, it's not about me. It's about her grandbaby, you, and anybody else that I can help. Just one person at a time is what I start with, and I'm starting with Chametra tonight. And that's what I'm trying to do. And if there's any other things that I can do, if there's any other things that I can do that you know that I'm aware of, any places you need me to be, any signatures that you need me to sign that this lady can get her case solved, talk to whoever I need to talk to. I'm talking to all of the people that look at me today, and I'm asking them if you know anything about Raya's death. Ask this lady, tell this lady. If I'm in an understanding, because I come from born and raised on the east side, so I'm in an understanding y'all want to talk to the police, but get this woman and that son of hers some closure about what happened to her and her grandbaby. I don't think that's too much to ask her, and that's what I'm trying to do. And again, if there's anything else that I can do, if you have any suggestions for me, you can hit me up at mrsfishwork@gmail.com, or all my social platforms are at the bottom on the next screen. You can also contact me there. As far as anything else you want me to do, I'm one person. I'm trying to gather a community. You have to stand with me, and we all stand together to get our community to help her. Because like I said, it's a sickness. It's a sickness when we all right with 2-year-old babies dying. You understand? And not just dying, but being murdered in our streets. And somebody's so worried about their reputation, before they say who's the coward that killed her, they'll stand over there and be quiet. So, until we attack that sickness, I don't know how else I can help her. Because I don't know. The law enforcement apparently can't do it. They asking us to solve the case. So this is what I'm trying to do to help her. And as I was saying, Chametra, please speak to my beauties about what it is that we can do as a community to um, help you get you some closure for you and your family.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, you know, just if you know something or if you've heard something, I mean, it doesn't matter how big, how small. Like I said, just let somebody know. If you don't want to talk to the police directly, please reach out to one of my family members or myself, and let us know so that we can pass that information along. We're just, we're trying to get this case closed. We're trying to figure out who did this and why they did this, and I'm even coming to terms with, we might not ever get the why. We may get the who, but we may not ever get the why. So, I've pretty much got myself prepared for that. But I mean, I'm still hoping that, we find out who and why.
And God is good. Even when it seems bad, God is good. I don't ever want to offend nobody, so it don't even matter who you pray to. But even when it seems bad, God is good. And even though someone thinks they got away with something today, they've never got away with it. So I want you to stay encouraged. I want you to be uplifted. Anything I can do, always make sure that you let me know in any way that we me and the community of people that listen to me, if there's anything that we can do, definitely reach out and let us know. I want to thank you so much for coming and sit down and talk to us. I want to thank you for shedding your light, just having the courage and the strength, to relive that and go through that and talk to us about it. And I just want to thank you again for just sitting down with me
Thank you
tonight.
for having me. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, you have a wonderful evening.
You do the same. Thank you.
Beauties, that was a very insightful interview. We never really, like I said, we never really pay attention to things till they happen to us. I think a lot of us have been affected by these same issues that Chametra have been affected by: gun violence, whether it be to your own person or to someone you love. Um, the NRA got things locked down. So as far as that goes, we can continue to try to write into and vote for new legislation, but we can also do work in our own community, as in sharing stories like Chametra, as in talking to one another about how that's not the thing to do, to get mad and shooting people or going to kill innocent people in retribution for a transgression you think has occurred to you. I understand your street code. Believe your street code in the street, man. Why, street code and innocent people don't even go together. So I don't really understand that. I want to thank Chametra for sitting down with us. I want to thank you, Beauties, for definitely joining in. All your questions, all your comments. Like I said, you can follow me on all my social platforms. I want to thank you for always rocking with me. If you know anything about this case, like I said, I understand how y'all feel about the police, but at least hit Chametra Thomas up. She's Chametra Baker-Thomas on Facebook. You can definitely inbox her, find a way to hit her up in order to help her and her family get to closure. I want to thank you all for tuning in. You know what it is. I am Simply Sheba, your hostess with the mostest. You know the slogan. I do what I want and not what I can. As always, I hope to see you beauties in traffic. But if not, picture me rolling.